Hello and welcome to another edition of Kevin's Rambles, starring that intrepid explorer Kevin Hall. Let's see what Kevin's up to today.
Good morning, it's Kevin's Rambles Day. Where is he? Mr. Ford. Mr. Dave Ford's leaving the walk. Leading the walk.
That's a good start.
Yes.
Where are you? Done this before?
No, I haven't. Where are you leading us to?
Well, I'll tell you later on.
Oh, okay. That's that. Mrs. Ford, who's over there, who's not going to be on camera, is leading the shorter walk. Where is this? 2 miles? 2 miles, Mrs. Ford?
We're doing 4.
Yeah. 4?
Well, 4 normal miles, that equivalent of a Kevin mile as well. 8 or 9.
There we go, look at this scenery. Look at that.
Welcome to the New Forest, guys. You are right on the edge. Wiltshire's sort of just over there, so it's very much the northern edge. Normally it's quite quiet and peaceful. A few more people about today. They've heard about Kevin is in the area, so we're going to see more people. The route we're going to do is about 4 miles. It's going to be undulating, but it'll be fairly straightforward. The track.
There are undulations.
Undulations, yeah.
We'll have loads of stops. There's lots of interesting things to see.
Good.
I suppose the first thing, and most important thing about this area, we're going to be talking a lot during the walk. Back in the Second World War, this whole area was a bombing range for about 5 years. It was fenced off. There was like a 9-mile fence that went round, and mainly used for bombing practice. I won't go into too much further detail, I don't want to spoil what you see later, but quite a bit of the walk when I come across little bits of evidence that you wouldn't expect to see as we go along.
Yeah.
Quite a variety of different things. We've got the heathland, and we've got some woodland as well. And that's it. I'll keep it short. From time to time we'll have a little stop and I'll sort of give you a little bit of a history lesson without it being too boring. Hopefully it'll add a bit of
brilliant. Lovely.
Is
All right,
that the
Dave.
sort of thing we're looking for? Is that
Perfect, absolutely perfect. So we've got to go up this hill. And I love the way Dave picked you out for that, Cynthia.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Mind you, I was trying to find out for the slow walkers.
Yes, of course, yeah.
I don't think they're doing this, are they? I think they're going to cut across, I'm not sure.
I don't know. Well, I did say just now that Kathy might have to turn around and go back anyway.
She won't make the short walk.
No.
Yeah, and I hear Kim is very wise as well. Is she?
Oh yeah, because yes, she is, of course she is.
Just in case anybody heard that, Dave said we've got to trust him. Right, okay.
Go through a little bit of bracken.
Oh no.
Well, we'll be okay, so just follow me. It'll be worth it when we get there, but I've got a rough idea around here.
I like it.
No, we're
Great word for action.
informed.
Dave said he thinks he knows where it is.
Are we all checking each other?
Yeah.
Okay, now this is the base of what was known as the ship's target. So you imagine a massive sheet of metal, I think it's 20 foot high, 20 foot long, sort of upright, and then it would have been held by supports that would have gone back to post here. It was called the ship's target. It was supposed to mimic the hull of a ship. And basically, it's normally mosquito planes would come in from that direction and fire cannon at this. So basically, it was just used as target practice. I mentioned at the beginning about this being a bombing range. Most of the bombs that were dropped were inert. They were really practicing for accuracy. I'm not going to waste a lot of ammunition bombing here. It was only towards the sort of last 18 months of the war where they started using proper bombs. We're going to see some superb craters later on, but very excited about that. The problem was when the war broke out in 1939, the Germans were so far ahead of us. You know, our RAF, you know, a 20-pound bomb was considered good. So we had a lot of catching up to do, and that's why areas like this were needed just to be put aside. People ask, well, what about the animals? You know, those were all removed, but back in the 40s there were only about 500-600 ponies here, so there were a lot less animals, so it was a lot easier. So this is the ship's target. Obviously the thing was taken down after the war, but here it is 80 years later, just as a, you know, something to look at. But so heathland. Okay, put your hand
Can I
in.
just say, there's a mound of chalk.
Yeah, and 80 years ago it would have been about this high.
Okay.
Okay. So it was used as a bombing range. They used chalk to mark out things to bomb. So for example, they would have marked out 2 parallel rows of chalk to mimic a railway line. Okay.
Right.
Also, there's some other things we're going to be seeing later on, which are on the ground that needed to be obviously marked out with chalk from above. The biggest problem they had, if you're in a plane above here, there's no other markers, no church steeples, there's no river, there's no buildings. It's very hard to know exactly where you are. So there were a lot of markings. So that's what the chalk was used for. I'll stop. You'll notice that all around us we've got I know heather and gorse, what have you. But look, we've got this little area here that nothing is growing on. This was the base of the #1 wall target. And it was used, you remember the story of the dam busters and the bouncing bombs, and they had to practice bouncing the bombs, all done here. Some of it was for the dam busters, but most of it was for the slightly smaller bouncing bombs that were dropped by mosquitoes. And the idea is you drop the bomb on water and it would bounce along the water and hit a ship. So there would have been a wall here, 40 foot high, 40 foot long, 18 inches thick. That's actually 2 walls of 9 inches thick and a gap in the middle. And basically they would just use, you know, the mosquitoes would come in, let the thing on, and it wouldn't explode. They were literally just letting the bombs sort of bounce along. Ever so dangerous, because they had to get the angle absolutely right. If you get it wrong, you bounce the bomb, it then bounces back up and hits the plane. So this was the #1 target. There was a #2 and a #3 target further along.
This is the deepest of the 3 bomb craters. There's one just there. Just a tiny one, Dave says.
We've got 2 more. We're going to sort of head around.
Okay. Uh-oh. Well, Dave's leading us across this heathland. I think today there's 18 or 19 people on the walk today, which is fantastic. 5 have gone the shorter route because that's about a 2-mile walk. But we're doing about 4.5 miles, which is great. Lovely. The sun's not out yet. There's a little bit of a breeze, which is nice, but it's very muggy.
Again, just here you'll notice an area where the vegetation just doesn't want to know, and it's kind of like a cross. So you've got like one bit here and one bit here.
Yeah.
So if you were able to fly above, this is I don't know if you can see this. This is like from Google Map, but this is what it looks like from above. It's a definite cross.
Yeah.
Again, this would have been marked out in chalk, and it was a directional finder for the. And whilst I've got this out, you can see this what looks like a pie.
Oh yes.
You see?
Yeah.
We're going to see that in a second, but this is again, it's an odd sort of directional sort of thing. But the pilots had to have something here.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, the sort of vegetation just won't grow back.
Yeah.
What's going to be the next one? I don't know, but I'd love to. It would have been a fair.
So that's another bomb crater.
Love the way the sort of trees sort of somewhere along the line, a seed found its way down.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Yeah.
Sure, it's been so dry.
Yeah.
Normally this is a good place for water for the ponies, but
Yes, well that is a big bomb crater.
yeah. I have no idea how big it was in terms of pounds. But
Yeah. That would be quite a substantial bomb, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But it's interesting how a tree, again,
yeah.
right in the middle, like an island, which it would be if it was full of water. That is incredible. Wow. Is it this one? Is it that one?
Yeah, well done. This is a very small example of something called sundew. Again, it's very sticky.
Yeah, there we go, look at this. Look at that, lovely. Ponies. Hello. Hello. Hiya. Come on then. Hello.
Heathlands are fairly dry and you've got this oasis of greenery. Just through those woods there was once, well, this house here. It's basically a forester's lodge. So the forester who was in charge of this particular area, Ashley, used to live here, and that's what the house looked like. When the area was taken over by the military, it got damaged badly, so damaged it just got, and there's nothing, the only thing that's left is this here, which I think is the base of an animal building.
Yeah.
But this would have been where there would have been lawns, they would have had their domesticated animals here. And on the side there are some evidence of some orchards, apples, that sort of thing. So the guy in charge of Ashley Walk was here. There's about 15 areas on the New Forest called something Walk. Walk is just like an administrative part of well, the bailiwicks. There were 6 bailiwicks, and then there were a number of walks within. But it's like I say, it is like a little oasis.
This is,
If you look at
absolutely.
the map above, you just suddenly see this green.
Yeah.
It's normally quite popular with ponies and foals, but
We've had a little bit of a break. The sun's come out.
let Mr. Crozer know.
Yeah, Mr. Crozer. You're always saying the sun never comes out down here. Well, I'm not going to point that up there because the sun's out. Look, I've got my hat on and it is really warm. So the sun does come out down south.
Very many of these on the forest, only about 6. What it says on here, just about, Pittswood, it was enclosed in 1775. What that means is that if you can see, there's a little bank along the outside. Further
I do, yeah.
They would have created this bank, put a ditch in front of it, and they would have put a wooden palisade on top, planted the trees, and that meant with the palisade none of the animals could get at the trees. After 30 years the palisade would be taken off to allow the animals back in because the trees were big enough and old enough to look after themselves. When that's happened, it's called thrown open. So it was planted in 1775, it was thrown open probably about 30 years later, 18 something. What's unusual about this one, it was then re-enclosed in, I think, 18 blah blah. Right folks, you are standing on top of a massive concrete structure.
Wow.
It was built, it's known as a submarine pen because it kind of looked like a German U-boat station, but in fact it was a building designed to check the effectiveness of air raid shelters in the Second World War. It was so indestructible that after the war they couldn't take it down, so they basically just covered it up. So what you've got here is a dome, and as you saw a step as you came over, 80 years of sort of erosion. That's the roof of it, so it's actually underneath here. Some great views from up here. You can see there's a pond, what looks like a pond through here.
Oh yeah.
That's a crater caused by a bomb called a Tall Boy. 6 of those were dropped up here. And then they used the Tall Boy to destroy the Tirpitz, the German battleship.
One of the biggest bombs they did, wasn't it, at the time?
Was one of the 12,000. The biggie, the Grand Slam bomb, which was 22,000 pounds, was dropped. You can't actually see anything now. It's just on the other side of the path that we came along. The crater was 130 foot wide, 70 foot deep. Only one was ever dropped in this country. I swear it's pouring off, mate. Edit that bit out. Only one was, it's called the Grand Slam bomb, and it was an earthquake bomb, and it was dropped in March 1945.
Yeah.
They were aiming for here, but they went over there, and it's so big they filled in the crater afterwards. And it is the biggest bomb ever to have been dropped in mainland UK.
Yeah.
And up until as recent as 2007, it's the biggest bomb, conventional bomb, to have been dropped anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I think the Americans dropped one in Afghanistan in 2007. That was there. This is a photograph of the crater, and this is what we're standing on today.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that is the crater.
That's massive.
So this was a concrete structure then,
And
was it?
that is underneath here.
Wow.
I think I've got a picture. That is the Grand Slam bomb. That's the River Avon, which is over there, and this is it being dropped, so it's probably over here. It was massive. The only plane that could drop it was a Lancaster, and they had to strip the Lancaster of all of its machine guns and all of its extra weight. Otherwise, they would have never been able to take it off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we're probably half a mile or so from the car park. And can I just say, thank goodness. This is the bridge we were on earlier on. And we came down there and we went up there. I've got Lynn, Rich, Ian and Jeremy behind me, and Kai. The rest of the group is up in front of us.
There's a little shop in Fordingbridge, I think I've got most of the story right, and it sells rubber ducks. That's what it sells. The owners had a 15-year-old child, and she unexpectedly lost her life in tragic circumstances. Anyway,
What do you say, Elaine?
so in her memory, basically, you go in there, you can buy these rubber ducks, and the idea is that people take these rubber ducks on their holidays or journeys. You take a photograph of your rubber duck and then you put the photograph on this website, blah blah blah. But as well as normal rubber ducks, they sell these special rubber ducks. So I thought I'd get one for Kevin. And it's a very special one.
No!
I need to hold it while you open it.
Hang on.
Luckily he's got a sense of humour. Now you need to take
I've
this.
just got a funny sneaky feeling I know what's going to be coming up here.
I couldn't get one with a GoPro.
That's brilliant.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So you need to take that wherever you go and photograph it. And
I will.
There we go. Well, we hope you enjoyed that edition of Kevin's Rambles. If you did, please do give a thumbs up and a like, and do leave a comment. And do consider subscribing. That way you can keep up to date with Kevin and his adventures in the future. Thanks for watching.